If you can only feel tall while someone else is on their knees, something is wrong with you. Let me rephrase. If you can only feel glorified while someone else is dehumanized, something is wrong with you. Let me rephrase again. If you can only feel alive while someone else shrivels up and dies, something is wrong with you. Brown-skinned, ebony-covered knees forced to curse ground for centuries, a cursed ground of oppression, made of hot coals and piercing gravel. Supple, brown-skinned ebony knees, kneeling through centuries of yes sir and yes ma'am, of going through the back door and walking in sullied gutters, of answering to boy as a man, of being told no and you cannot, of working 4 times as hard to be as good, to end up not being enough. Brown-skinned ebony knees, kneeling for centuries, scarred, strained, black with decay, sticking to their newfound prayer mat as they pray for the day to stand. On your knees. 1944. Reese was coming from church. She was on the wrong road at the wrong time, with the wrong skin, south of the Mason-Dixon line, a black blemish in a white world that a gang of 6 white boys sought to erase. She was forced to her back, to her stomach, to her knees. No charges were made. The final spit in her face. Nobody cared. The whore was black. On your knees. 2005. Lavina wanted to be just like her daddy. She joined the army, suited up in her camouflage threaded armor, uniformed in supposed solidarity. She wanted to fight for her country. Yet she was the black sheep in the white flock, a black blemish in a white world that her male comrades sought to erase. She was forced to her back, to her stomach, to her knees. Her dead body possessed the scars of torture, yet no charges were made. The final spit of bile on her name, cause of death, suicide. I'm sorry to inform you that your daughter did this to herself. Let me rephrase. Nobody cared. The whore was black. Brown-skinned ebony knees forced to curse the ground for centuries. You see, I've been trying to stand, but my shackles dig its rusted ridges into my skin. They won't let me. On your knees, boy. 1955. Emmett was visiting from Chicago, a black teenage boy in the throes of puberty, just trying to see his family. In the crown jewel of the Confederacy, Mississippi, where brown skin teeming with melanin was probable cause for suspicion, where brown skin teeming with melanin was a presumed weapon, where brown skin teeming with melanin was the evidence of the absence of innocence. The word of a white woman who cried wolf, who cried black beast, led 2 white men to kill the beast who sought to feast on a white woman's glorified white sanctity. Let me rephrase. Led 2 white wolves to drag an innocent black boy on his knees into the darkness of night as they mangled his body, ripped into his flesh, snatched the beats from his still growing chest, threw him in the river like he was nothing but the carcass of a pest. The final spit in his face. The men were both acquitted. His life didn't matter. He was just another nigger. Brown-skinned ebony knees forced to curse the ground for centuries. 2009. Oscar was at the train station at Fruitvale. With his hands up, he was forced to his knees, then to his stomach. He pled for his life, his young daughter, in his mind, but he possessed skin of the wrong kind. He was shot, living while black, in the back, while the officers checked his shackles, his handcuffs. They were still intact. On your knees. 1999. Amadou was in front of his house. His brown skin teeming with melanin was probable cause for suspicion. His brown skin teeming with melanin was a presumed weapon. He was shot, standing while black, 41 times to be exact. 2016. Alton was selling CDs. His brown skin teeming with melanin was probable cause for suspicion. His brown skin teeming with melanin was a presumed weapon. He was shot, selling while black. 2015. Sandra was driving while black, pulled over, detained, and booked for a failed lane signal. Her brown skin teeming with melanin was probable cause for suspicion. Her brown skin teeming with melanin was a presumed weapon. She was found lynched in her cell, a truth that they will never tell. Tamir, shot dead playing while black. Brianna, shot dead sleeping while black. Ahmad, shot dead jogging while black. Philando, Freddie, Eric, Trayvon. Since when did living while black become my death sentence? Since when did I have to count down to my execution? Brown-skinned, ebony-covered knees forced the cursed ground for centuries. On your knees. I said on your knees. On your knees. I can't get up. I'm trapped on my knees, strangled by the piercing smoke of the burning flesh, of the ever-flowing bloodshed. It's getting hard to breathe. The once supple skin, now scarred, cracked with dried blood. My knees are going numb. I'm becoming numb. Brown-skinned ebony knees forced the cursed ground for centuries. Cousins, brothers, fathers, mothers, swing in the trees that sway in the breeze to the melody of "Oh Say, Can You See?" Calloused hands trapped in rusted chains are placed at the base of whipped backs to keep us from fighting back. Balled fists writhe under the rusted shackles of discrimination, targeted systematic denigration to ignite a proliferation of separation and destruction. The smoke of the burning flesh fills the lungs, choking, gasping as we begin to wheeze, begging to God, uttering George's last words, please. I can't breathe. Brown-skinned, ebony-covered knees forced the cursed ground for centuries. I hope that one day I'll be free.
What are you without racism? Are you any good? Are you still strong? You still smart? You still like yourself? I mean, these are the questions. It's part of it is, yes, the victim, how terrible it has been for black people.
Your self-esteem and definition.
If you can only be tall because somebody's on their knees, then you have a serious problem. And my feeling is white people have a very, very serious problem. And they should start thinking about what they can do about it.